Hello, everyone. Welcome to Norm, the Cheers podcast that isn't. But then again, what is? In these trying times, none of us are what we're supposed to be. Like the Celtics are supposed to be a tight basketball team. They're not. They're not. I've not gotten over last night, game 5 between Boston Celtics and Golden State Warriors last night. And I'm sorry. I get that you're facing. Okay, I want to start by saying I get that this is a young team. There's a reason teams don't win when your best guy is 24. I get it. And your second best guy is 25. Usually one of those guys has got to be in their mid-20s. I get it. It is so frustrating. I sent you guys a supercut of all the awful Celtics passes. And that is what I've been talking about and been frustrated about. And I get the Warriors have played some good defense. I'm not saying the Warriors have been bad and the Celtics just handing it to them. But they're right now, one of the reasons the Warriors are so confident is they know they don't have to play perfect defense. They know they don't have to. They know they can blow a coverage and there's still a decent chance a Celtic is going to throw the ball up in the air for grabs. There were so many passes that were just legitimately jump balls that I couldn't believe they were happening. And it's so frustrating to watch this team. And I'm still not giving up because this team has been at their best, backs against the wall. We have to win. I never thought they were winning game 6 and 7 against Milwaukee, the defending champions. I felt terrible going down to Miami, having to try to beat the Heat after the way that the Heat were playing. And they won. They proved it. So it's there for them. I don't know why they want to make it harder on themselves. But it's so frustrating as a fan to watch games that you really should have won. They really should have won at least 2 of these games so far that they have lost.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just variance. One of those games should have been gone. But there were so many unforced errors and turnovers. And I've never seen a great player who has more trouble finishing at the rim than Jason Tatum. I've never seen anything quite like it, where right now he's shooting 30% from 2. 30%. And he's had so many shots that are right at the rim and don't finish. I don't get what's happening. Yeah, and you're seeing a confident Warriors team because you can relax a little bit when you know you don't have to be perfect because the other team is going to give you extra possessions. And that's what they know. They're going to get extra possessions. And the Celtics have to be that much better and shoot that much better to actually win a game. All right, rant over.
It was that last night was tough because I felt like defensively they played absolutely well enough to win. Like you hold Golden State to whatever it was 104. Like that's great.
Their defense has been, but even then, like it's starting to have moments where, all right, they play great defense, but they just have these lapses where Marcus Smart just falls asleep on the inbounds pass and gives them 2 points. And I love Marcus. I love Marcus more than a lot of members of my own family, which isn't the highest praise, but you get it. Just these moments where they're playing killer defense. And then, oh, you know what? What if we just let you score a layup here? What if we just do that? That's okay, right?
Well, yeah, it's frustrating because, even great defenses are going to fall asleep now and then. But like, it puts so much, like they just put so much pressure on themselves defensively that they have to be perfect because the offense is so sludgy right now. And I think you were saying like last night, you wouldn't be surprised if Tatum's headed for off-season surgery. Like something's not quite right with him physically.
Which is why I don't want to attack him being like, oh, he's soft and mental.
No,
I'm just saying I've never seen a great player happen like this, which is why I think there's a chance sometime in early July, you're going to hear about successful rotator cuff surgery on Tatum. Like he keeps having these moments where he's shaking that arm out like he's a reliever in the late 60s. And it's just like, you're fine. Get back out there. It's throwing me.
And he's playing great defense. Like he's playing huge minutes. And I give him like superstar credit because like he's adjusted. Like if he's limited physically, he's adjusted and become this really kind of a incredible distributor, but it's still like you can see like something's hampering him. But like again, like everything else has to work in order for him to play that way. And like Jalen was just a ball stopper last night, and that you just can't you can't win if the ball just kind of stops with Jalen every single time. Like he just had a rough game.
My thoughts are give Jason Tatum some LSD. Have him have a Doc Ellis style game.
I'm ready. I'm
Yeah.
ready.
Let him dribble the fireball.
Yeah. And we need to see it. We need to investigate if somebody buried a piano in the Charles River or something. Because what's been up with the Celtics since 2008, you know?
Yeah. It's been hard. I mean, you know, after 2010, they really should have won. Losing Kendrick was unlucky. You know, that did feel like a game or a series that was incredibly unlucky, where at the end they really should have won and just, but they were an older team. They were an older team. And after that, they were just never, they just weren't young enough to win another title after that. You know, they really played on a lot of heart after that. But their window was 08, 09, 10. And KG wasn't the same after his knee injury.
No.
I mean, the fact that he was as good as he was just was because he was such a smart, unique basketball player. But yeah, like that early 09 Celtics team was even better than the 08 team. That team would have walked to a title without the knee injury. It's hard.
Tookie, I just got a message from Dan Shaughnessy. He wants to pay you $1,500 for that piano idea, and he just wants you as a silent partner in his next book.
Cool. We'll investigate. We write at dawn.
One more thought about Tatum, though, and again, it might be an injury thing, but I will say it's not like he was Kyrie finishing at the rim before he hurt his shoulder in these playoffs. He's always been a little weird around the rim. And I don't know why a guy as young and strong as he is doesn't finish strong a little bit more. You know, you don't need to float it in the way that Kyrie does. You don't need that. Like, I would just like to see a few more dunks. Remember that dunk he had against LeBron?
Yeah.
Doesn't that feel like it was the last one? Yeah. He's gotten so good, so much better in so many ways, and he's such a great player. But the finishing around the rim stuff, I don't get.
Well, I give him, I'll give him a little bit of a pass, because I do think like he's facing like 2 or 3 guys in the lane every single, like it's just they're selling out to. That's why the Celtics get so many open looks. Like they're selling out to stop Tatum. He's kicking out usually pretty effectively, and you know they missed their first 12 threes last night, and they go behind.
You can also tell, teams right now know that he's complained to the refs so much that he really has to bleed before they'll call a foul now.
That's true.
Yeah, it's
Alas
and alack. But there's 2 more games. And we'll see what happens. And that's what I'm contractually obligated to say for our contract at Spotify. All right. Did everyone have a good week?
Pretty solid. Chaotic, but solid.
Okay. There you go. Don't forget to post on the page, Tookie, because Juneteenth is this weekend. Your Venmo for reparations.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, Dewey agrees.
I hope so. If he doesn't, we're gonna have to have a long series of discussions.
Yeah, I can tell Dave is a tiny bit uncomfortable. This is something Tookie does on social media. If you do not follow her on social media, she will occasionally post for big moments. Post the Venmo.
Yeah.
For reparations. So
it's the principle of the matter.
No, I support this unequivocally.
Thank you.
I got you Midnight Run for reparations. So I've covered that base.
Yeah.
So, which is, I believe, the only proper way to celebrate a holiday as special as Juneteenth is with something as culturally sensitive as Midnight Run.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's a film starring 2 of America's leading Caucasian men.
It's a shockingly white movie. It's
a
even
lot.
for the 80s. I
mean,
thought about that when I rewatched it.
If
Like,
Yaphet
woo!
Kotto isn't in that movie is vanilla pudding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like even Farina is a white gangster.
It's true.
Yeah. Woo! All right. But you know what's not white? Cheers.
Wait.
Well,
I was trying to decide if the segue should be in speaking of impossibly white things from the 80s. But yeah, I tried to go the different route. I tried to zig when I should have zagged. Cheers! Season 4, episode 13. Take my shirt, please. Dave, when episode 13 came out, what was going on? It's post-Christmas, right?
it is just post Christmas. It's January 9th, 1986. We finally entered 1986. For me, I can say like really the first year that sort of seems distinct. Everything else kind of prior to 86 is kind of a slurry of 80s/late 70s memories for me. 86 starts to I start to have some benchmarks personally. I was looking at some of the top 10 Billboard songs for this week, the week ending the 11th. And I got kind of stuck on number 3. Number 1, of course, Lionel Richie, massive hit maker from the 80s, Say You, Say Me.
Good song. Underrated
song.
Lionel Richie.
Great song.
Lionel Richie.
Terrific. Every Lionel Richie hit is a great listen. I'll stand by Lionel Richie every day. Number 2, we talked about this artist last week. Eddie Murphy's Party All the Time.
Wow.
Hit number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100.
Produced by
I don't remember.
Rick James.
Right. And then number 3 is where I got hung up because this is again was kind of a benchmark memory for me because I remember seeing this lip synced on Solid Gold. And I remember realizing it was lip synced because one member of the lip syncers was also harmonica lip syncing and came in a few bars late, possibly because he could not see the teleprompter because he is Stevie Wonder. And that's what friends are for. Dionne Warwick, Elton John, Stevie Wonder, and who's the fourth version? Gladys Knight, of course. Singing the song. I didn't realize this song was originally written for the Night Shift soundtrack.
I know, Night Shift. Yes, I knew that.
I had no idea that was part of that
Michael
movie.
Keaton, Henry Winkler, Ron Howard movie. Yes, it's the closing credit song.
So I haven't seen it since I watched it on Betamax. I remember loving it.
Absolutely bizarre movie. I rewatched it. Still fun.
Shelley Long, the star of that movie too.
Yep. Shelley Long. Tookie, have we discussed Night Shift on the show before?
No, I am very confused.
So you have no idea about Night Shift. It was Ron Howard's first directorial effort.
Ooh.
Starring Henry Winkler, Shelley Long, and Michael Keaton.
Oh.
Yes.
Pre-Batman.
Way
pre-Batman. Yeah, it was Henry Winkler's debut performance, Michael Keaton's debut performance in a film. It was definitely not Henry Winkler's debut.
I was gonna say
no, he had done Nighthawks, he had done a bunch of things, but Michael Keaton's debut, Night Shift, and it was about two morticians who moonlight as pimps.
Ooh.
Yes, Shelley Long is a prostitute who
Sex
lives
worker.
next door to. I'm sorry, is prostitute not an okay thing anymore?
We say sex worker now.
Oh, but that's
Because it's work.
okay. No, it's totally work. I respect sex work, but sex work that's a big tent, is it not? Like someone who's on OnlyFans would also be potentially a sex worker. Yes.
Then we'll say full service sex worker.
Okay. All right.
That's a thing.
If you say so, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. Man, it gets tiring. Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry, I didn't mean to go red state there. Okay, full service sex worker. Okay, that is what's
FSSW.
yes. If we have any sex workers who watch, can you potentially just like post on the page and let us know the proper nomenclature there. That would be appreciated. Okay, yeah, Night Shift. Check it out. Very sorry.
Yeah, but yeah, I literally just found this out like 8 seconds before we hit record. Then Dionne Warwick re-records it with this all-star lineup and turns it into an AIDS research benefit single. Raises about $3 million for AIDS research, which is in the late 80s not no small thing. And I remember this being really like one of the sort of like turning points culturally for the discussion of AIDS as something that we actually needed to address, and not just something that we could, that as Reagan would, kind of write off as a disease for homosexual men. This like sort of very public acknowledgement, coupled with a lot of the work that Elton John did publicly too, and his relationship with Ryan White and everything. But this was one of those moments where I felt like celebrity really kind of leveraged their power for good in a pretty tangible way, both financially and in terms of recognition. So, and I'll always have the memory of Stevie Wonder forgetting to play the harmonica on Solid Gold, and then like I remember he laughed about it because he tried to cover it and obviously he couldn't, and then like he just sort of like started laughing into Gladys Knight's shoulder, and it's a wonderful little 80s capsule. And if nobody's ever watched Solid Gold, by the way, take 20 minutes and just Google Solid Gold 80s, because that's a phenomenon we will sadly ne'er see again.
What a weird show to describe that as.
Have we discussed the theory, the conspiracy theory?
I don't think we've discussed it.
The Stevie theory?
Yeah.
Or is there a Solid Gold conspiracy theory?
No, the Stevie theory.
Yes, we have chatted about this.
Have we? Okay.
Yeah, the Stevie's not really blind theory.
No. That he's the killer.
Killer of who?
There's a theory.
What?
You know how there's that like sector of Facebook for the aunts? So like there's a so hi aunts.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to all the aunts out there.
Yeah, so there's like I'm an aunt, right? No, but there's a let's call it the black uncle over 60 sector of the internet, a nice pocket of the internet that theorizes that Stevie Wonder has been systematically killing off all of our favorite black celebrities and playing at their funerals. Mandela, Michael Jackson,
Wow.
Aretha, Kobe, like.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other way to explain the incredibly early death of Nelson Mandela
Or Aretha Franklin.
other than foul play. Aretha Franklin, I mean, was training for a decathlon, if I'm not mistaken, right before we lost her.
Right.
So yeah, Stevie's really the only logical explanation.
This is some deep rabbit hole shit, and I am here for it.
Wow. Whew.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we should probably talk about Cheers.
Now I'm imagining like Stevie Wonder like rappelling into a room like sort of Tom Cruise Mission Impossible style, and I am not disappointed with the pictures my brain is painting.
All I want to say, as someone who loves Stevie deeply, I'm not saying he couldn't. I'm saying he wouldn't.
Okay. All right.
I would never underestimate the ability of Stevie. I just don't think he has the heart to do it. He would direct his mad killing skills in a more positive direction. That's all I'm saying.
Respect.
After all, he is Mr.
Yes.
Know-It-All.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Tookie, can you tell us about the cold open, please?
Sure can. So another short but sweet one. We open up in the bar. Diane enters through the front door. Hello, everyone. And everyone's all, what? She says, oh, come on. What kind of greeting is that? When Norm comes in, you all yell, Norm, making such a big fuss out of him. Is it asking too much for me to get the same treatment once in a while? And Sam says, well, she's right. All right, let's try it again, sweetheart. And then so she's like, yeah, thanks. And then she exits the door, comes back in, and she says, hello, everyone. And everyone cheers, Norm. Norm. She says, that's better. Roll credits.
Love this cold open. It's really great, light in the fuse, and good payoff. Short, quick, sweet, good payoff. Love this cold open.
Also love that it hangs on, and they do this a bunch in this episode. They hang on Shelley Long for an extra beat to watch her reaction to the bar, and she's so she's delighted by it, which like makes it even better.
Yeah.
Like she's such a part of the world right now. This is really like comfortable Diane watching.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. All right, we got an A story and a B story this week. The B story is for Norm. He's trying to get a job being the accountant for a dairy farm, and he asks everyone, specifically Cliff, to leave him alone. Just wants to wine and dine the clients and doesn't want Cliff to embarrass him. The clients come. They are impossibly dull and not interested in being in Cheers. He takes them up to Melville's and feeds them, and he is dying a slow death talking to these dairy workers, and finally gets Cliff over to try to talk to them. They find Cliff fascinating and invite him over for the weekend to play Parcheesi, which is my 80s thing of the week. I feel like Parcheesi, even though it was not from the 80s, that was a go-to game joke of the 80s.
I've never
Parcheesi,
played.
yeah.
What is it
exactly?
entail?
Because it was from the 80s. It was it was not a bad game. You had a little dice cup and you rolled, and yeah, it was very much a game of chance, not a ton of strategy or skill.
Okay.
But it was fun.
Yeah, I remember it being kind of like sorry, but without like that element of it.
Yeah. But Parcheesi is also just a phonetically fun word. I enjoy Parcheesi very much. And it was a go-to 80s joke. So yeah, and that was kind of all that happened there. We never find out if Norm gets the job. There's no further payoff. We just watch Norm be uncomfortable with these very funny actors, and then Cliff be entertaining with these very funny actors. And that's the B story. A story. Diane is going to be volunteering at WGBH, and good for them for actually knowing the correct TV station that PBS is, WGBH Boston. She's going to be volunteering for their telethon. They have an auction, and they talk Sam into donating his old jersey because so many other famous athletes like Havlicek and I just remember Havlicek. Who else? Bobby Orr,
Carl Yastrzemski.
Yeah, they were all donating items. And so, yeah, May Day Malone, we'll put that on there. And then the rest of the story is about how nobody is particularly interested in this jersey. And it's a very simple story, but I got to admit, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed both viewings of it. Sam is very nervous, feeling like no one's interested in him anymore. There's a $100 bid. He finds out that Diane actually bid on it just so that he wouldn't feel bad when he suggests calling up the station and offering to sign that. And no, I want you to put that back in. I want you to put that back in, please. And then there is a $200 bid. And Diane goes into the office to tell Sam there's a $200 bid from a lady on the phone, only to find out that Sam is the lady on the phone, doing a very funny voice that maybe I shouldn't have enjoyed, but I do. I thought it was a funny voice. And then he's embarrassed. He's been caught. He says, no, I'm going to put that jersey back out there, and worries that it might wind up on Mr. Bobo's table, who is a monkey who's going to draw names to give these items away at the end. Which, man, WGBH, what are you doing? Someone donated this and you're going to do Mr. Bobo's table. No, you sell them later on. My God, just what are you doing? Don't embarrass someone donating good stuff. Yeah, and the host is just really burying poor Sam's jersey. And I just keep watching this and going, look, even when the Red Sox were not super popular, someone would have thrown out $50 for an authentic Red Sox jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Just buying it at Sears, they would have spent like $40 on it. Just have a jersey that had been game worn by a player you'd never heard of. You'd pay $50.
We're talking $40, 80s money.
80s money.
Okay, because that's a lot.
Because now you couldn't get an authentic, MLB jersey today of quality that's game quality for less than $200. I don't think. Yeah. So I think 80s money. I'm going backwards and thinking 40's got to be a pretty fair number there. So yeah, and then finally, Sam gives a bit of a moving monologue as he realizes his jersey is not going to sell, putting his career in perspective. It was a small part of a big game, and I can accept who I am and who I wasn't. And then there is a bid for $300, and he's excited, and he's on top of the world, and I'm a star again, and has them come down to autograph it at Cheers, only to find out the guy's never heard of Sam Malone. Just said the jersey was getting on his nerves, and what the hell, it's for a good cause. And he gets the jersey back, brings Diane into the office, and very calmly says, I just wanted to give you a chance to call me a big dope. I said it was going to be, I was going to be okay with it, and I wasn't. And you can do it. I know you're dying to. And she says, no, this is for you. So I'll say you're a big dope, and you give it an excuse to explode upon me. Says, no, I just think it would be good for me to hear. And I really love the way Ted Danson played this moment. That's too bad. I think it would be good for me to hear. And then Diane starts to say something, and he explodes on her in a very funny monologue, and then leaves, comes back in, and he says, thank you, no problem. And that's the end of the show. I liked it. It was filled with problematic stuff, and I kind of liked the episode. I don't know, this episode of Norm might be problematic, Mike, but I enjoyed it. I'm potentially stepping into a whole bunch of landmines today. But yeah, I thought it was funny. What were your thoughts?
That moment when he blew up on Diane was my Jesus Christ moment of the week.
Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like Shelley Long made that work because she saw it coming. She was never nervous. And it was very much, I need to let this toddler cry this out.
Mm-hmm.
She was the mom sitting calmly back. I've got this. There's no danger. Are you done? Okay.
And even going back to the cold open, like I felt like there was a really smart decision between the directing of this episode and the way Shelley Long plays the entire episode, which is every time Sam says something gross or provocative or like, you just see her like take it in and be like, yeah, it's exactly that energy. Like, I get it. You're a toddler, and I understand, and I'm the smartest person in the room, and I know, like, I need to help you through this. And it lingers on her for every single reaction throughout the episode. And there is a payoff at the end, which like for me, like really did kind of like help neuter the ugliness of that explosion, but it still does kind of play a little funny today. Like I don't like when he shook the chair. I was like, I don't like that. Take your hands off the chair.
Yeah.
No, I'm watching a lot of 80s television as of late, and I've had a couple Jesus moments.
Yeah. The 80s were kind of one big Jesus moment.
Yeah. Especially, well, I mean, it's not like as big a deal, but there was I don't know if you guys are up on this development, but I've been forced to watch Star Trek: The Next Generation under duress.
I've been following your travails online.
Oh my god! And there was some dialogue between Geordie LaForge and Worf that just was so stressful. I don't know who wrote these scripts, but it was so stressful.
I'm sure a very diverse writer's room with nothing but sensitivity in mind.
It was
I mean, nothing screams sci-fi more than a diverse writer's room.
I guess so. It was the episode on season 1 when they discover a woman-ruled planet. And I was pretty sure that Riker was going to go down and suffer death by snoo snoo.
That is how Riker would want to go.
It's absolutely the way he should have gone, but he lived.
Found a beard and a smile.
Yeah, he lives. But there was a lot of good God in this episode of Cheers.
I give Star Trek a lot of credit, especially like we've been watching some of the Star Wars movies and like how comparatively Caucasian that universe is compared to this really kind of self-conscious inclusionary kind of vibe that Star Trek in all of its iterations has had. But like, yeah, sometimes that inclusionary vibe leads to some like, hey, we get like a very special the next generation.
Yeah. Pray for me, because it's not going to stop. It's not. I was joking about watching all the seasons, but no, someone in the household is determined.
It gets better. It gets better as the seasons go on.
So
I enjoyed the first season, but it does improve.
I mean, Whoopi signs on, and that in and of itself, I feel like raises the bar.
Okay.
To remind you, like the sway Whoopi held in the 90s, she just happened to like this show and said, write me a part in it and I'll just come on whenever I'm free. That's the kind of power Whoopi had. Good for her. And she was great. Every time she came on, you're like, Guy, yay! What? No, she's not Guinan. Is it Guinan?
Guinan, yeah.
Guinan, yes. Okay.
My respect for her increased exponentially for the fact that she was able to negotiate millions to star in Theodore Rex.
Mm-hmm.
She did not want to do that movie, but she still got her money.
Yep. Oh, Theodore Rex. I remember when that came out. Everyone was like, what are you doing? Yeah,
she knew exactly
she was never really the lead in a good movie again. Like, it was really frustrating. Like, she got one bad movie, and they said, nope, now you're done. I mean, she had been in several bad movies, but one movie after her Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where you're allowed to do this, and then you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
she got a few bites at the apple, but they kept putting her in bad stuff. Like they said, oh, you're a really talented person. We're going to put you in these bad movies. And then when the movies didn't work, it was like her fault.
Yeah, but she got her money.
She got paid.
She got her money.
Whoopi gets paid. Mm-hmm. All right. So I did my 80s thing of the week. Let me see my joke of the week. We'll start going through some categories. Joke of the week. I absolutely roared on dubious. That monkey has a vocabulary of 500 words. Oh, come on. I find that completely... and it's such an obvious joke. And he played it so well. And the choice of the word dubious, where he was looking for a word that was kind of smart and finally found dubious. And I roared at that. Love that. Tookie, your joke of the week.
The same joke.
Nice.
The same joke, yeah. It got me.
It got
me. There were laughs this episode. Not a lot of Woody dialogue.
No,
Woody didn't have a lot to do,
No, but there were some solid laughs this episode, and that one for sure was the top laugh.
Yeah. Yep. Dave, your joke of the week.
I'm gonna give a runner-up just because I think it needs to be shouted out. I loved the B plot this week. I thought those two actors, the Brewbakers, were so good. Robert Simons and Francis Bay as Mr. and Mrs. Brewbaker, the dairy owners. And when Norm describes them as to Cliff, they're like dead people without the rouge.
Brutal.
was I laughed both times. But my favorite joke I'm gonna give to Frances Bay, Canadian Hall of Fame actor, as Mrs. Brubaker, for her one-word response when Norm greets her at the door. He says hello to Mr. Brubaker and he says, "This must be the lovely wife." And he goes to shake her hand and she looks away and says, "Yes." And gets a pop from the audience on it. I howled. It sets the tone for exactly what the Brewbakers are going to be.
Mm.
I know who this woman is, and I know exactly how she feels about Norm and how this evening at Belleville's is going to go. That yes was I've never seen a more pregnant a yes in my life. I loved it. I laughed.
Quality. Since Tookie and I had the same joke, I want to throw out an honorable mention then. When Sam is calling back to say that he's not going to buy the jersey, he talks about having some self-dignity and some self-respect, and then breaks into the lady voice again. I like it. I laughed again. I laughed again. He just did that the turn on the voice was just perfect. On a dime, beautifully delivered.
I found the voice to be more of like a dowager and therefore kind of like less offensive. I was like, okay, he's kind of doing a Margaret Dumont thing and like That's
Yes.
like he's not making fun of women. He's just trying to, inhabit the kind of woman that could have a slightly deeper voice.
Yeah.
Yes, the woman that he imagines enjoying PBS programming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is her. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Your 80s thing of the week, Dave.
My 80s moment. I struggled to find a good 80s moment this week, but I think I'm going to go with the omnipresent bit of cultural knowledge about the McNeil-Lehrer NewsHour. That doesn't. I feel like that. I mean, I know that it's still the NewsHour is still functional, or is still running, but like the recognition of McNeil and Lehrer as like the sort of like people you turn to for national news, still at this point, even as like the networks have kind of like started to build up their national news daily broadcasts. Yeah, I'm gonna. This feels like the last time you could sort of reference a non-educational PBS program universally.
Fair enough. I did my 80s thing, which was Parcheesi. Tookie, your 80s things.
Okay, so the idea of farmers being sort of plucked out of the painting American Gothic. I feel like that's kind of a tropey thing of like farmers just being these very dour people in general. Because if you meet farmers, a lot of them are very much not like that. So this idea of like pastoral, provincial kind of farmers with the Amish kind of clothing and pitchforks and such. So there's that. Telethons in general. Telethons felt very of that era, and more importantly, all the corded phones at the phone banks of the telethons. Those really leapt out at me. And then the concept of like the comic relief being a chimp. Mr. Bovo's table. Like there's always just chimps in general.
They wouldn't do that to a monkey anymore.
No, they would never. But like just the thing like, oh, we don't like this thing, throw it to the chimp. Because this was like peak Bubbles the Chimp era. And it just felt like chimpanzees in general were having a moment.
I was trying to figure out how to wrap my head around that, because I was thinking the same thing and I couldn't figure out how to put it. You've expressed it beautifully.
Thank you. I tried.
Well put. Tookie, how white was this week's episode?
Oh God. Okay. Okay. So in the cold open, we had one Black woman who was in red at the bar. In scene 1, a Black man in purple talking to a very tall Black woman in red at the back wall, a Black man in blue in the upper booth, a Black man in gray who passed by Sam when he was en route to his office. And then I think she was possibly mixed race, and she was in this like green, yellow plaid blazer situation. So that's 5. And then in scene 2, we have a Black man in 3 Black men rather, one in beige, one in gray, one in blue, a Black woman in red with like kind of a curly fro, and they were all huddled at the crowd in the bar watching the TV. We have a character from several episodes past, an Asian man in a pink and purple striped sweater who seems to come back. So like it seems like they just kind of plucked that extra and put him in the scene. An Asian woman in red comes down the stairs from Melville's. A Black woman talking to a possibly Latina woman in pink at the jukebox, a Black woman on the telephone, at the telethon, and possibly Latino man. Like he looked, I know a lot of people who are Dominican who kind of look similar to this guy. A Latino man watching TV with the group, and then 2 reused cast members. So that's about 8. In scene 3 proper, 0, because we're in Sam's office. Scene 3A, the same extras as before. Scene 3B, 0 again, because we're back in Sam's office. Scene 4, all the extras reused, so 8 people. And then scene 5, 0, because we're back in Sam's office. So 8 people. Big dip.
Light.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I thought GBH could have done better.
You'd expect more.
Yeah. One. Just the one on the phone.
Yeah.
But at least, she had stuff to do. She was doing business. I like it.
Yeah. All right. One note on this show that I want to mention is I've heard that surrealist joke so many different ways and times. That is quite a little time capsule right there. I've heard it also with performance artist. How many performance artists does it take to change a light bulb? Fish. That is a go-to joke.
That joke was forced in.
Yeah.
Like you could see the scrape marks from the crowbar they used to shoehorn that joke into that script.
Yep. Oof.
And that was a diminishing return. Shelley Long, bless her heart, selling the hell out of it.
I have a funny feeling that Shelley Long said, "You know what would be funny here," and they were like, "All right, we'll do this one."
And like they kind of make it work with the absolute non-event of everyone just kind of falling flat on everyone on TV, watching TV, and also watching the cast watch the TV live. Like it flops on 3 levels, and it's there's something kind of beautiful about that. I don't know if I've ever seen that, like a joke intentionally fail 3 ways as part of a show.
It was impressive. It was impressive. There's no 2 ways about it. No 2 ways about it. All right. Not a lot going on in this week's episode, but I thought what they did well.
Mm-hmm.
I laughed. I enjoyed. Good episode.
Did anybody else? This is the one detail I could not take my eyes off in Sam's office was the Reds pennant. Did anybody else catch that?
No.
The World Series pennant.
Yeah, it just threw me thinking, like, if Sam was part of like this 75 team or was teammates with guys that had that, like, some of the DNA from that 75 team that lost to the Reds, like, wow, would you put that pennant up?
That's a choice. That is a choice.
I need to double check it again. I thought that was just a pennant from that World Series, which would not strike me as something strange for him to hold on to.
Maybe. I thought it was like a Reds like team pennant or a Reds championship pennant, which
you might be right. I need to double check. Because I did notice it when watching, and I thought it was a World Series pennant, but I might have been assuming that just because I knew they played the World Series in '75 against the Reds. So it's possible. That is certainly possible. All right, I have a quick question. Slightly more for Tookie than for Dave. Have we discussed Hacks yet?
No.
Have you watched Hacks?
We're on like episode 2 of season 2.
Okay. Dave, have you seen Hacks?
I have not.
There are a few shows that I find more personally vexing. Because on the one hand, I keep saying it's really well written.
Yeah.
This is a well-made show. I love the cast. It's so well acted. I love the interplay. I love the chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
I love everything right up until Gene Smart does stand up. And then you're like, I don't buy this for even one hot, tiny little minute. This is not a stand-up comedian right here. And if you must make a show about stand-up comedy that is starring someone who is not a comedian, don't show the stand-up. It doesn't work. Because as much as I love so much about it, I watch it and I'm like, yeah, you deserve to lose this presidency. I'm not on your side. I'm not on your side. This is not comedy. What you're saying is not funny. And it's based on Joan Rivers. And the thing is, even when Joan Rivers was doing a joke that you had heard before that seemed very easy or obvious, she was so goddamn funny that you still laughed. It was so funny. And it's like I don't get, there are so many great actresses who have done, or female actors, who have done stand-up. Why don't you cast a stand-up in it? I know it's supposed to be based on Whoopi, but hey, how about Academy Award winner or Joan Rivers, but how about Academy Award winner Whoopi Goldberg in this part? She wouldn't have knocked it out of the park. She wouldn't have killed this part. You couldn't have found someone who had done stand-up. I don't know why they are so insistent on casting non-stand-ups, trying to do stand-ups. what are you doing? If you can't dance, you don't get cast as a dancer. If you've got a movie or a play about an amazing dancer, you get someone who can dance. You have to. You have to.
It's suffering from Miss Maisel syndrome with the
Yes. That is the other one. I can't watch it. And I don't understand. I get that she's a terrific actress, but when you insist on, and that's an even bigger part of that show is unwatchable to me.
Wow.
When you watch Ms. Maisel this celebrated comic genius who is a prodigy, and you can't stop watching her, I'm like, she hasn't said anything funny. She hasn't said anything funny. And when you hear it, and I can't watch that show. It was one of the biggest problems with Punchline, one of the first big movies about stand-up comedy.
I watch it for Tony Shalhoub, honestly.
Yeah. I'm sure
Maisel.
it's a lot. It's an amazing cast. It looks great. It's a show I should enjoy. I can't get past it. Stop showing the stand-up. Stop showing it. When you were watching Stephen Gold, he's undeniable. Tom Hanks, obviously, of course, he's the best one here. And you're like, none of these jokes are good. None of these jokes are good.
Do you have the similar feelings when you watch Wesley Snipes in White Men Can't Jump or Major League, and you see this person who's obviously not good at this particular skill, but is a good actor and like works in so many other ways?
Dave, I was so waiting for you to say Wesley Snipes filing his taxes.
Yeah. Wesley Snipes playing an accountant, I think would potentially be the analogy there. But no,
Wesley Snipes is the Wolf of Wall Street.
It depends on the part. With athletics, it's easier to hide a bad athlete with camera angles, with body doubles, with well-timed cuts. Like with Wesley Snipes, when you watched White Men Can't Jump, the only thing that really stood out until you started looking back at the tape and slowing stuff down, and Major League the same way, is, Wesley had the high dribble where you're like, wait a minute, can you bring the ball down a little bit more? Like everyone is taking that ball away from you.
Although having watched Jalen last night, I guess I can understand.
Yeah. But the thing about Wesley too is he kind of moves like a dancer. He moves with grace.
Yeah.
So even though you had to slow down in Major League so that he actually looked fast because he was not a fast runner, even when he stood at the plate and took a swing, you're like, all right, I can buy that. I can kind of buy that. This is okay. Wesley to me stands out. What is that?
No, he's a hell of a combat actor because in Demolition Man, the stunt people actually had to, he had to slow himself down so that the stunt people could catch up.
Yeah.
He's amazing in Blade. The Blade movies are terrific, I think.
That's the thing. He's a dude with grace. So when you're watching him move, I buy it because they cut around it in a certain way. It's like, okay, I can get on board with this. It's not as bad as like Tim Robbins pitching in Bull Durham, which is legitimately distracting. As much as I love that movie, if I was a pitcher, I don't know if I'd be able to handle that. And obviously the fact that we're comedians, it stands out more watching people do stand-up comedy badly. But did you see when Robert De Niro did The Comedian a few years back? It's like, Oscar time. You watch, you're like, no. Where's Eddie Murphy? Like that part was made for Eddie Murphy. This guy who was a gigantic star, who's down on his luck and starting to do some stand-up comedy to try to get attention again, would have been perfect for Eddie.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Billy Crystal could have done it. Billy Crystal was the right age range. Why no one called Billy? Why are we having to, and I get that you feel like if you got De Niro, you got to take De Niro. But watching him on a microphone was awful.
Oof, really?
Yeah. I hate saying this about Hacks because I really do love Gene Smart so much. And I love what they're trying to do. And I think they're writing it well. Like it's well directed. It looks great.
The story, I love the story.
It's a great story.
It
is a great story. But again, it's like you get to that point where it's like you have that scene that you see in all of these movies where, like she says something mean to Gene Smart's character. It's like, oh, that's funny. And you're like, was it though? And would you know Yeah,
Well, I mean, I
I
think
mean,
Hannah Einbinder, that's the actress's name. I forget the character's name. It's
Yeah.
escaping me. But she does stand up.
I believe it from her. I phrased that badly. It was like Gene Smart's character.
Yeah.
Like, would you know? Would you know that that's funny? You haven't
Yeah.
said anything. She's funny when she's not doing stand up, but yeah, I couldn't get past it.
I'm surprised though that they didn't have more of Hannah's input because she's been on Colbert. Like she
I don't,
does
I
stand
don't think
up.
it's a matter of input. I don't think it's.
Uh,
It's simply a matter of performing.
okay.
I mean, if you had Whoopi do the same material, even though I don't think it's great material,
No.
but if you had Whoopi do the same material, you'd be like, yeah, that's a stand-up comedian performing this material.
It feels
That's a
open-minded,
comic. If
the
you had,
material,
yeah,
the level
the
of joke
material,
writing.
and it is weak, and I'm sure Whoopi would write something better for them. But it's also like you're asking, it's hard to ask Hannah to write jokes that a 65-year-old woman would
Yeah.
be telling that she wrote 25 years ago. Like
Yeah.
that's a tall order, and you almost have to cast somebody who had done that, who lived in that world, who can say like, I know how to write this. I know how to write jokes that I know would make people laugh, even though I wouldn't necessarily be super proud to be telling these anymore. Yeah. Anyway, that's my hack diatribe. Somebody wrote about it on Twitter, and I felt like a killjoy because I was like, I'm so troubled by it. Like someone was writing about loving it, and I don't want to be the guy who's like, here's why you shouldn't love something that you love. But I was like, it's so vexing to me because I love so much about it, and I can't get past this central issue.
Yeah. I don't watch it for the stand-up. I'll say that. I think everything else about the show is worth the watch.
Yeah. So the stand-up doesn't take you out of it, though.
Sometimes it does.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I mean, the grateful thing is that, especially in season 2 so far, it seems like there's a lot of episodes where she's just not on stage. And you're like, okay, I don't have to worry about this. Okay, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I think maybe they learned from season 1. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. But it is funny, Dave. Like Wesley never takes me out of those moments because I feel like he can move. And you do have to almost slow down his movies to see like, oh yeah, you're not a baseball player. Whoa. Like I never would have dreamt you were this slow.
I think they do a great job in Major League of kind of like making him exactly what he needs to be. Yeah. White Man Can't Jump. I struggle a little bit more, especially because Woody Harrelson is so competent. Like he's really like when the two of them are together, it's like, oh, this guy is actually feels much better at this particular skill.
How do we feel about the remake that's allegedly happening?
I'll believe it when I see it. Who's supposed to be doing it?
I forget who Wesley Snipes' character is supposed to be, but the Woody Harrelson's character is now portrayed by a white rapper named Jack Harlow.
Oh.
Choices were made.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll give it a look-see.
Yeah.
This doesn't feel like a movie that needs a remake.
No.
Yeah. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing that.
I mean,
this feels like when they remade Point Break.
Yeah.
They what?
Yeah.
Why?
Point Break. Because they're out of ideas. Because they are out of ideas and just trying to make some money off nostalgia.
Why would anyone do that?
Lazy.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I can't tell you how creative people in Hollywood are.
Nuke the whole the whole thing. No, I'm stressed out now.
Yeah, there's no way whatever White Man Can't Jump remake, there's no way that it launches anything as amazing as the Rosie Perez comet that seared across our collective consciousness.
Oh, she's great in The Flight Attendant.
I love her. I think she's terrific.
I got to see that.
You got to see The Flight Attendant. It's a time.
Yeah. But especially when you're remaking something that was also so much about chemistry.
Yeah.
It's one thing if you're like, oh, this is such a foolproof idea. There's no way we could go wrong with this. And then you go, so much of that was, hey, like it's a fun idea. But a lot of it was, what if we get these two like really talented people who have impossible chemistry together. Like Wesley and Woody together were perfect.
Mm-hmm.
They were perfect. And then you added Rosie Perez, who was amazing. It's like you're trying to capture lightning in a bottle again, and that does not usually work.
It's a bummer that they didn't get. I mean, maybe it's probably for the best, but like, in the same way that Pryor and Wilder had that unbelievably good chemistry that they just shoehorned into a string of movies.
Yeah.
I'm sorry we didn't get another couple of Woody Wesley movies. Like,
they tried and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Which ones?
Did you not see Money Train?
No,
I did not see Money Train. No, I forgot about Money Train.
Jennifer Lopez.
Oh Lord,
is the lady love interest in that one? Yes, Money Train. Yeah, and it was very much. Hey, what if we just put Wesley and Woody in a movie together again? What if we just did that?
That's so lazy. There has to be a story.
And the big difference between them and putting Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor together too is both Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor were incredibly funny writers. Mm-hmm. Like as great as the chemistry was between Wesley and Woody, they never wrote any of their own shit. Like you're not looking at that going, oh man, I bet they had a ton of improv out of this. Yeah. So nah, I think they got most of those lines written for them. Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor, you believed, could take a skeletal framework and add a lot to it. Mm-hmm. You could give them a script and go, hey, make this funny when you actually go in front of the camera, okay? Like they could do that. Yeah. And you could feel like in Stir Crazy, and there's no disrespect to Sidney Poitier, but there were certainly scenes where they just said, Richard, you just need to make this scene funny, okay? Go. Action. And that's honestly credit to Sidney Poitier. He knew what he had, and he trusted Richard. And he said, all right, fix this.
R.I.P. to both, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. R.I.P. to all.
Oh, what not? Oh. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yep. Sidney, Richard, and Gene, all gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, the Celtics aren't dead.
Oh man, just when I thought I couldn't get sadder. We couldn't have left it with the death of 3 idols of Hollywood. We had to bring the Celtics back into this.
You know who's clinging to life support?
I'm trying to be optimistic.
You know who Sidney Poitier is kind of more alive than? I'm kidding, Celtics. I absolutely believe you're going to pull this out. Game 6 and 7. You just need your backs against the walls. It's not going to be a problem. All right. Anything to plug this week?
Shaskeen Pub Wednesday. That's when's the last time you did that?
I've never done it. Actually, I popped in once. When Nick was running Shaskeen, it was actually like the last gig I was supposed to do before lockdown. It was going to be the first time I ever headlined there.
I'll put you.
And then the person who runs that room now, I think, was actually at the studio.
Yeah, she's great.
Long ago. Yeah, showed no particular interest in thinking me funny. So I think we're probably fine. Yeah, like made a point of mentioning that she ran that room, and then there was never like we need to have you up there. So that opportunity was there, and is the interest is not there. So I don't think we need that introduction, but thank you.
Okay, all right.
All right. I appreciate the thought, but that could have happened, and it didn't. So Shaskeen Pub, Dave, anything to plug?
Not this week, no.
Okay, there you go. I am at the studio on Saturday, so come on out if you would like. I think I'm at comedy at Back Bay Lounge on Thursday at 7:00, unless it gets canceled for the Celtics. So we'll see what happens, which has happened a couple of times so far, but we'll see. All right. For Dave, for Tookie, I am Mike. Go Celtics.